Good morning everybody and welcome to another day with Serene Education. It's the 10th of April today. I hope you have a fantastic Easter weekend. Just going to be starting with the four majors this morning. Started with Euro against US dollar on our long time frame. Let's have a look at the weekly and see what's happened last week. Give us an indication what could likely happen this week. So, yeah, last week with a lot of selling going into the close of play, and it took us down to potential area of support here at around the 13,500 mark. A lot of hesitation at this area on a weekly, and sure enough on this Asian session start yesterday and this evening we've seen a bit of a bounce on that. For this to continue to still look bearish overall, we do need to see 1305 being breached and price closing lower, and ultimately our next target down here at roughly the 12,8500 mark would be our next target. So as it stands at the moment now, we're seeing clear support at the moment just above 1305. CTC still remains negative as we are still trading below the institution moving average, and last week's bearish engulfing candle has really formed another swing low. So swing low being capped. Ideally we'd like to see that 1305 being breached soon so we can see further extensions down to 12,8500. On the daily, let's have a look and see all the bearish momentum we saw last week, and then a bit of a bounce on Friday. And then we saw yesterday's candle closing higher, so a bit of momentum to the downside, trading below 1305 to start with. However, through the US session, closing higher. Very indecisive, however, more buying than selling signals, and sure enough, you can see this morning Asian session moving up towards the another support and resistance level here, just above the 1600 mark. You can quite see a lot of hesitation over here. If this is to be a genuine bounce for a potential reattempt of these highs at 13,300, then we need to see a price closing above 13,1500 quite soon in order to happen. Otherwise, we could see consolidation on it here and then a reattempt of these 13,500 mark. So, trading above a very strong support at the moment. We'd like to see that being breached if this is genuine negative sentiment. You can see we have red, all the moving averages above price, and our CTC is negative. However, we can see quite clearly the 1305 here mark, a very strong resistance support level in the past. Got to see a breach below that before we see any further indication of downside selling. And if price happen to close below 1295, and then we've got a nice long extension to the downside here, back towards these lows here, just below the 12,6500 mark. So as it stands now, for the foreseeable future, we want to see 13,1500 being breached. We want to see any further pullbacks to occur, with the likelihood of roughly around the 13,300 being another target area on this very strong support. Otherwise, we want to see the candle closing lower than this 1305 or 1300 in particular, ideally above 1295, and then we could see further extensions way down here to 1265 for the foreseeable future. On to sterling against US dollar, good old cable. Let's look at the weekly. You can quite clearly see that price coming unstuck last week. We were early parts of the week we were seeing price trading above the 1600. We wanted ultimately price to find support above that ideally, and that failed to materialize after the figures that came out last week. And sure enough, we saw we saw sterling falling against the US dollar and almost engulfing price at the moment. However, still maintaining those highs because it found support and closed. It traded below the 5900. However, it actually closed higher by the end of the week, above the 5900. So still psychological support because before it was a major resistance level. So, and then yesterday's open and looking at today's trading session, still trading above that psychological area, 5900. So looking like we could see a potential reattempt of the 1600 area if it maintains those highs above 5900. Let's look at the daily. You can quite clearly see a lot of hesitation over here, for example. Let me just get rid of all this here so you can see quite clearly price finding a lot of resistance against the 5900 for a major period of time, and then attempt to break above the institution moving average, slightly just fell short of 1600, then the pullback, a reattempt of this 5900 psychological level again, and the institution, then breaking higher. However, once the break was confirmed and we were looking for price to now break higher than the 1600, found support and then push on, we got this break, a very indecisive candle here, the spinning top, and then we were looking for the next candle or the next couple of candles to find support above 1600, to get a psychological boost that yes, things were still maintaining those highs. Swing highs over here would dictate price action still moving higher. That failed to materialize. We saw this bearish engulfing here, engulfing the prior good work that we saw, the price moving higher, and in doing so failing at 1600, this forming a nice exhaustion candle, and we saw price pulling back to 1500, Now you can see quite clearly that the institution moving average price spending more time above it and swinging higher here, so you can see quite clearly the price is still favoring upside movement. And now you can see price this morning trading above the 5900. So as long as we can maintain those areas above 5900, then psychologically we should potentially be looking at price edging its way back up towards 1600 again. Failure, yet another failure of this area would definitely confirm that we look quite likely to see a very strong resistance level at 1600, and we should see price pulling back again. However, once we had this pullback, we would expect the price to continue to fall. 2 days ago on Friday, price said that wasn't the case. Almost had a bullish engulfing here at the institution moving average at 158500. Nice bounce off the 50 period moving average, and then Monday we saw price moving higher, and then today trading above that psychological 5900 barrier. So if we can find support here, price can stay above this area for the number of days, then we could definitely see the 1600 being retargeted quite soon. Swiss franc, good old Swissy. Let's see what's happening. Another bounce last week, nice bullish engulfing on the weekly candle, however not breaking above a prior resistance level. Slamming straight into a prior resistance. You can see quite clearly on the weekly chart, a lot of resistance through the early parts of the mid-Jan going into the latter part of the mid-March. Same resistance again, shooting star here at a resistance level and price pulled back. However, last week's candle, bullish engulfing, however still not closing above the psychological resistance level here. So we would like to see that being broken at the 9200 quite soon, not see any further pushes to the upside. The longer it goes sideways, the more likely we're going to see a nice support being found, and then we should see momentum driving higher. A break above the psychological area here at 9200 should see price moving up towards the 9600 quite soon over the next couple of months. So let's have a look and see what that means on the daily charts. There we go. Quite clearly see a lot of resistance through here. Through there, 9200. Okay, you can quite clearly see a lot of resistance through here. Price moving higher, breaking higher than this not so long ago, however, bearish engulfing or tweezer top. And then price moving lower. This becoming an exhaustion candle at a prior resistance, a very strong resistance level, and sure enough, price moved back to the downside again. 9100. A lot of support through, then a break lower. Break higher, support. So we had a lot of hesitation here. Clearly see resistance over here at the top here, at the psychological area again, as I mentioned. If we don't see a break of this 9200 or the 9250 and price moving higher, we could see the 9100 being retested quite soon. A failure over here, I would see these areas below that. It's just above the 900 being targeted again. And the fast week has seen price moving lower, and this bearish engulfing here has actually formed a lower swing, and you can see price failing to break above that right now. So it's important that if this is to maintain these support areas, we do need to see price breaking higher quite soon. If not, we're going to see, look at this candle the prior day, yesterday in particular, a lot of trading to the upside. However, a lot of bearish sentiment as price hugged the lower end of the candle. So if that's the case, then we could see price building up for further shorting opportunities to the downside. So very important that price maintains its current status above 9100, above the 50 and the 200, so we could see potentially for price to move higher, as the CTC is still looking blue across the board and trading above all the moving average. So momentum needs to hug, find support short term above the 915 in order to see a reattempt of these areas here that we had a failure before we see extension to the upside. However, if we don't, we see a bearish engulfing here on our daily, then we could definitely be looking back on to these lows just above the 900 or 895 in the foreseeable future as potential targets. Last pair of the day is US dollar Japanese yen. Let's have a look at the weekly. Price rallying all the way to 8400. Very strong price support and resistance level on this pair. And now we're seeing price really pulling back, hesitating, a bearish engulfing here at this 8400 mark. And you can see that the price movement has actually pulled back recently. and we just get this 8400. You can see psychological level there being breached, and then we had a pullback. So we want to see where price is likely to pull back. Well, we've got our low that we've been to. You take the highs of here, for example, just above 8400. You can see areas here where we see consolidation, 23.6% of the pullback here. A lot of support the past couple of weeks. We've had 2 weeks of support after this upside candle here. Last week saw price breaking below it. Beginning part of this week, looks like price is finding resistance and hugging the lower end of the candle. So the last 2 days or 2 trading sessions this week has been bearish. So ideally 38.2 here at 8100 would be our next target for this pair. The 38.2 here, down the bottom here at just below the 8100 would be our next potential target for this pair. As you see price moving lower, bearish engulfing, breaking below price support and resistance, quite a strong one here. Would dictate that 38.2 here at the 8100 would be our next potential target for this pair. Break below that would take us down to the 50% line here of the fib retracement, which happens to be the 80, a very strong psychological resistance level in the past, and support. So that'll be a genuine second level for targets. So if we look at the daily, let's have a look. You can quite clearly see just below the 8250, which happened to be our 23.6. See the 23.6 there? Very strong support. Break lower, bearish engulfing, price has moved lower. Now the pullback, it's failing to find support or to pull back above the psychological break, and doing so, notice swing lows. So as things are currently sitting up, we can see that price action is looking favorable. Negative, we have 2 parts of our 4-part strategy in play now. We have red arrow, red candle. However, the CTC long term still remains blue, and if we looks like potentially target at the moment now would be 8100 to the downside. Break below that or the 50 period moving average would definitely see price moving lower to 50%, which is at the 80. Very strong price support and a very strong price support area not so long ago. That would be our genuine next target. So you can see a previous one, 23. Then we have the 38 as the second. Third will be 50, 61, etc. to the downside. So very important. Price is looking bearish and sentiment to the downside at the moment. So next target 81, break below that would look at 50% here at the 800 as our next target. That's it, guys. Hope you have a fantastic trading day. Just have a look at all the news announcements to see if there's anything out there that's definitely going to move the markets. Wednesday we have the Beige Book, Federal Budget, balance figures, FOMC speakers. So there's quite a lot of news tomorrow afternoon for the US markets. Going to Thursday, let's have a look. We've got quite a lot of data for the US market, speckled by a lot of 1 or 2 trade balance figures for the British markets, and then the ECB's monthly bulletin at 9 AM GMT tomorrow. Then going into Friday, we've got core CPI month-on-month figures for the US, but before that we have PPI input month-on-month figures for sterling, and then we have Fed Bernanke ending of the day with a speech. So just have a look and see if there's any news out there that's definitely going to move or factor in price action, and make sure that you're aware of those and how it can relate to price action movements on the charts. But keep your money management rules quite tight. We've got some genuine support and resistance levels as targets for this week. As long as we maintain that momentum, we should see those targets being reached this week. Other than that, hope you have a fantastic trading day, and I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning. Until then, trade serenely.